Listening to Christopher LaMontagne. Welcome to my world. In this video, I will be making some traditional board and batten barn doors for my barn, my upper level doors, and I'm going to be using white oak battens and some half-lap barn board that I had left over from sheeting the barn. I'm going to be fastening the battens with a traditional clenching nail, cut clenching nail that I had got from Tremont Nails on the Cape. You could fasten these battens with screws. It's probably a little quicker and just as strong, but I had these cut nails, and so I wanted to use them, and I kind of like the look of the clenching nails on the doors. So you nail them in till there's about 3/8 protruding on the batten side. You nail them in from the board side, and then you bend them over to 90 degrees, like I'm doing here. And then you finish nailing the heads right down to the flush to the door, as you see, and then which gives you a starting clench or staple effect. So now I will tip it over and hammer the clench back down to give the stapling effect. I'm using a piece of backing steel so that the heads don't pound back out as you're clenching it. This can also be done with a small 2-pound sledgehammer on one side of the door and using a regular hammer on the other side. It's a little more difficult and tricky. I just find it easier with a piece of scrap steel like I have, like you see here I'm using. I also will clamp the battens at the same time to keep them as tight down to the barn boards as possible. I'm going with a double Z pattern, as you see here, for the battens. It's not just a looks thing, it also stops your doors from sagging over time, so it reinforces the boards to stop that sag from the strap hinges that I'm about to use. So here we go. The battens are all done. Boards are ready to install. Okay, these are some antique wrought iron strap hinges I had hanging around. I'll be using for hinges on the batten doors. Now, since the pair, they don't match exactly the way a lot of old farmers would put them together, is they put two of the same on the bottom, so you have one on the top of the door like this, one on the bottom of the door, and the same thing on the matching opposite door. So when they're spread apart, you barely tell the difference between them, but they were hand wrought, and they were never identical anyway. But I like, there are companies that make new strap hinges now in steel, but this is wrought iron. Wrought iron wears much better than steel to the weather. They don't rot away. They just kind of get a certain patina, and then it just kind of freezes at that. But I'll probably paint them with some flat black spray paint, just so they're consistent. I'll be lagging them on the doors. Some of these lag screws here, which I also will paint black. And the pintles, which the hinges ride on, you can get these at most good supplied hardware stores. I think these came from Tractor Supply, any kind of place that sells farm hardware. And you just match the pintle diameter up to the strap hinges. Now this one's a little sloppy, so what I'll do is I'll put a piece of copper pipe in there as a shim. Now sometimes I have, if the pintle's a little bit too tight for the strap hinge, I'll just re-drill the hole in there. I'll ream it out, so it's going. It's actually with the copper bushing. It's actually wears better, and when you have a hard metal, this is zinc covered steel, riding against the copper, it actually will wear better, and the doors will be smoother and they won't squeak. But you can use them without any bushings. You can put the strap hinges directly on the pintle, as long as they fit pretty good and they're not too sloppy. Too tight, you can always even grind the pintle down a little bit. But I've made a lot of doors like this and used a lot of these old strap hinges. Again, like I said, you can get new ones. There are companies out there that make new strap hinges, but they're steel, they're not wrought iron. So that's what I got to start with. So let me get these all painted up, and then we'll hang the doors. It's important that you probably use a hardwood batten when it comes to lag screwing the strap hinges, just for a couple of reasons. One, the white oak is much more stout, and it also gives a lot more grip for the lags. As you see here, I'm using the strap hinge as an actual wrench to screw in the pintles. So you drill a pilot hole first, basically to your root diameter of the lag on the pintle. And that strap hinge has got to be nice and flush to the door and flush to the barn. That way there it keeps the door deep in the rabbit channel. So I just eyeball the center of the hinge with a level, just to get them somewhat level. Like I said earlier, the strap hinges are hand forged, hand wrought, so they're very non-symmetrical, which kind of adds to the look, in my opinion. So as you see here, I'm screwing down the lags. Now the holes, it's very important that those holes and the hinges lined up with the hardwood batten underneath the door, so you have to kind of calculate that kind of prior before you start to install those hinges. So I actually used a couple wooden shims to kind of adjust the gap at the top of the door and the gap at the bottom. You don't want it too tight because the door will constantly be stuck on rainy days. So I like to use about 1/8 of an inch for barn doors, 1/8 of an inch space on the top, 1/8 of an inch on the bottom. You could probably be a little bit tighter if the doors were inside of a house, but this is going to get constant exposure to weather. So basically, I'm just drilling the root holes for the lags. With pine boards, they're pretty. Your root diameter doesn't have to be too large. It can be kind of small because the pine is very giving to the thickness of the lag. So this one here opens fine, as you can see. So now I have to just hang the other one. But I'm also going to put a weather strip or a flashing board, as batten you can see on me. I'm clamping it down. That protects weather from coming in between the doors. So this one closes and overlaps the other door. So I'm basically making the batten or the same way as I did for the rear battens. I'm using a piece of pine for this. And so you install the clenching nails quite the same way as I did with the battens earlier. Once they're all in and clenched, then that door is ready to be hung. See here, I'm turning it over to start the clenching process. And finishing nailing it. Then I turn it back over to make the complete nail clench. Same as I did with battens, using the piece of metal underneath the heads. Yeah, I really like this with the metal process underneath versus the other double sledgehammer effect, but I just put a little chamfer on that weather strip. I'm fitting this one the same way, putting in my wooden shims or wedges. When I was hanging this other door, I was running out of daylight, as you'll see in the film. I was trying to beat it before the sun went down, and I just managed to get the both hinges on in time. The lags for the strap hinges go in pretty easy for the most part. The main thing is to do that with the bottom one first. So as you can see, I'm up on leaning against the door with the ladder, and the other hinge actually stops the door from slipping out on me. As you can see, it's getting dark. Good thing I had a light on my drill. And now I come back into the shop to make some quick and easy twist latches to help keep the doors shut from the inside. Use all kinds of hardware that you could buy to do this. I like the wooden ones. One thing, I can make them and adjust them the way I want, and they don't look so tinny like a lot of the barrel bolt hardware you get in the stores now. There's so many ways to make latches, but this is a pretty simple method here and quick. So I'm laying out the mortise for where the latch is going to twist into. So you want to make sure you give yourself plenty of mortise so you can stop the latch from either direction. So I'm first going to set in some gauge marks with the chisel. You could chop it out with a chisel. I just do it with a chainsaw because it's quicker, but you've got to be very careful with the chainsaw the way I'm doing it. A little bit of practice. It's very quick and efficient. So here we are, finished barn doors for the upper level. In a future video, I will probably make the transoms, the window transoms, and also the lower barn doors. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the film. And subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It's real easy. Just click that subscribe button. You'll see momentarily in the upper left-hand corner. Thanks.